Welcome to Stoic Path, where we investigate the profundities of impassive philosophy and how it applies to our ordinary lives. In today's video, we are attempting to dive into an intriguing and regularly misunderstood aspect of Stoicism, the quiet that devastates the sense of self. How can hush, a principle in passive hone, dissolve our sense of self? What happens when this capable apparatus gets to be a detriment rather than a quality? Let's take a more profound see. The nature of quiet in Stoicism. At its core, Stoicism emphasizes versatility, passionate teach, and sound considering. The stolid hone of quiet isn't almost never speaking, but or maybe approximately acing the craftsmanship of knowing when to speak and when to hold one's peace. Quiet in Stoicism is implied to cultivate self-control, permitting us to reflect some time recently responding incautiously. It empowers us to pause, consider, and reflect before responding. This frame of quiet can be enabling because it offers a minute to recover control over our emotions, rather than permitting outside powers to direct our activities. For example, the stolid logician Epictetus instructed that we ought to center as it were on what is inside our control and let go of everything else. The impassive, in this sense, aces the drive to respond quickly, in step keeping up a state of calm within the confront of adversity. This can be deciphered as a frame of silence, the kind that keeps the intellect still, while chaos encompasses it. Hush gets to be a shield, ensuring us from outside unsettling influences. But, as with any effective tool, there's a potential drawback in the event that hush is misjudged or misapplied. When hush turns against the self-image, what happens when hush, implied to construct strength, starts to disintegrate the self? Let's start by characterizing the self-image. The sense of self, in mental terms, is our cognizant mind, our sense of identity, the I that interatomic with the world. It's not almost pride or presumption, but the sense of self that interfaces our contemplations, sentiments, and activities. In Stoicism, quiet is frequently seen as a frame of control, but in case taken to the extraordinary, it can disengage us from our claim feelings, driving to a misshaped sense of self. When we stay noiseless in circumstances where we ought to express ourselves, we start to smother our feelings beneath the pretense of stoicism. This concealment, over time, can be harming to the self-image concealment versus expression. Stoicism educates us to acknowledge the things we cannot change and center on what we are able to control, including our emotional reactions. Be that as it may, when this leads to concealment instead of sound acceptance, we hazard losing touch with our true self. Envision confronting adversity and contention with a partner, a challenging minute at work, or individual disillusionment. The stolid mentality empowers reflection, sometime recently reaction. But in case this reflection is translated as silence, complete concealment of emotion, the person may begin to feel disengaged from their claim, wants, and needs. Whereas hush can anticipate pointless conflict, repeated concealment of feelings leads to inner strife. we ended up outsiders to our possessed contemplations and sentiments. The exceptionally establishment of the sense of self, which flourishes on self-awareness and expression, begins to disintegrate. The result? Resentment, frustration, and eventually a delicate sense of self. When we deny to precise our considerations or feelings within the title of Stoicism, we begin to feel lacking or invisible, as in case our voice doesn't matter. The error of persistent inspiration. One of the present-day misguided judgments encompassing Stoicism is the conviction that we must continuously keep up an unshakable positive front, whereas Stoicism does instruct us to persevere challenges with elegance. This doesn't cruel, we must overlook our feelings totally or imagine everything is fine. In reality, the thought of harmful positivity, the conviction that we must continuously stay cheery notwithstanding of circumstances, is at chances with genuine Stoicism. Authentic Stoicism educates us to watch our emotions, understand their source, and react keenly. The peril emerges when quiet gets to be a mask, to maintain a strategic distance from defenselessness. Connections, both individual and proficient, require open communication and passionate trustworthiness. When we ceaselessly smother our sentiments, we not, as it were, separate ourselves from others, but we lose the opportunity for more profound associations and individual development. Vulnerability, often seen as a weakness, is in reality an imperative component of human association. Hush, when misused, robs us of the lavishness that comes from sharing our genuine selves with others. The sense of self, as of now debilitated by inner conflict, begins to feel confined and insufficient. An adjusted approach to hush and self-expression. So, how do we explore the adjust between hush and expression within the stolid way of life? Genuine Stoicism doesn't request add up to quiet. Instead, it advocates for careful communication, the capacity to observe when to talk and when to stay noiseless. There is monstrous control in this adjust, inner silence, the delay. Sometime recently response. The hush that Stoicism advances is, at its best, an inside quiet. It could be a pause, a transient stillness that permits us to reflect on the circumstance sometime recently responding. This hush isn't implied to be delayed uncertainly, or maybe it's an opportunity to calm the storm within so that we are able to react with clarity and reason. In minutes of strife, taking a delay can be important. It permits us to step back, evaluate equitably, and select our words admirably. This sort of hush is a partner to the self-image, outside expression, the control of voice, whereas inner quiet secures us from impulsivity. External expression is similarly critical. Our voice, whether through words, activities, or emotions, asserts our identity within the world. The sense of self is fed through self-expression. By articulating our contemplations and feelings, we strengthen our sense of self and construct more grounded associations with others. Quiet, when abused, can lead to alienation, but expression welcomes understanding and sympathy. To preserve a sound ego, we must adjust quiet with bona fide communication. This implies recognizing our emotions and communicating them when necessary, avoiding the trap of suppression. Stoicism isn't almost desensitizing ourselves to the world, but locks in with it mindfully. When utilized appropriately, silence gives us the space to grow, to reflect, and to act with purpose. It permits us to preserve our composure and confront life's challenges with beauty. In any case, it's crucial to keep in mind that hush ought to not gotten to be a jail. Our contemplations, sentiments, and wants merit to be communicated. Genuine Stoicism grasps this balance, an agreement between hush and self-expression, flexibility and defenselessness. As we proceed our journey on the stolid path, let's endeavor to get it when quiet may be a strength, and when it gets to be an obstruction. By grasping both stillness and voice, we can protect our sense of self while exploring the complexities of life. Thank you for observing. In the event that you found esteem in this video, please subscribe to Impassive Path and hit the notice chime to remain overhauled on more impassive bits of knowledge. Remember, the way to shrewdness is not a forlorn one. Let's walk it together.